So, hello and welcome to my next chess video. This time I show you the game between Fritz 11 SE versus Stockfish 010518, so the development version from the 1st of May 2018. And I let them play this position here, you see here on the left and on the right actually. This is the carokann-flohr system, which arises after those moves, and I will probably play knight f3 here, and after bishop d6 probably bishop c4, and after castles h3 something to stop any bishop g4. Someone wrote me. Okay, so something like this. Bishop d3, of course capturing this is possible, but what I wanted to see is, for example, I would go bishop d3 actually, and after castles go h4, and if bishop going there, then you have bishop takes, king takes, knight here check, takes, king here, and queen takes bishop, with terrible threats here against the black king, and I'm not sure if you can survive this as black, but let's see. So h4, if bishop here for example, then again bishop takes, king takes, knight here check, takes, king here and queen there. But the problem is bishop to f4. No, it's not a problem. So I will go here immediately, so that after this I have bishop c4. Yeah, now there is nothing. So you just gave away a bishop, so this doesn't work. So h4 is not a move. So h3 probably, just going slow. Rook check, bishop d3, and probably something like knight a6. I'm not sure about. Oh, Stockfish is giving knight a6 immediately. So here takes, knight f3 and knight a6, followed up with c3, knight a6, c3, and knight c7. The knight wants to go to d5 probably. Bishop d3, bishop d6, castles, and h3, something like this could be the line. We have knight a6, and now let's see what Fritz is coming up with there. Currently the game isn't that interesting, but I think it will be interesting in a couple of moves. So knight a6, a3, and bishop f5. This is the line Stockfish gives. So knight a6, a3 and bishop f5, and bishop f5. Followed up with bishop d3, bishop takes, queen takes, and bishop e7. Bishop takes, queen takes, and bishop e7, preparing to castle. Bishop e7. What about h4 here? castles, knight g4, pawn takes, g3, and queen there, threatening mate over here. But after this, I'm not sure if white gets anything. Probably with g4 here, trying to break open the position, but I think it's too slow. Cannot afford something like this, so bishop e7. Castles, castles, and rook fe, rook fd1. Castles, castles, rook fd1, knight c7 probably at some point. Knight c7 to d4. Here I would go c4. Yeah, and Fritz's position looks nice. What about the knight coming in? What are the plans here? Okay, this so far so logical, but what are the plans here? What are the plans here, and what is the assessment of the position? I let them play without opening book or table bases. Wanted to mention that also. So yeah, Stockfish gives it as around equal, this position. Let's see how this will end up. Of course not c5 because of d5. Okay, this will be now the bishop exchange we discussed earlier. Of course, in those carokann lines, you want to get rid of this dark square bishop here. Of this light square bishop, black's light square bishop. Black wants to get rid of it against this strong bishop here on d3. Very solid position for black, not easy to crack. White's plan is probably easy, wants to go b4 and maybe at some point d5, put the bishop on this long diagonal and continue from there. This would, but as black is, it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, you can go knight d6. If d5, you have knight c4 attacking the queen, and if then queen d4, then knight b3 forking queen, and I can just show you that. If queen here, then knight there forking. So this is the plan, probably taking first, exchanging once. Okay, you could take with the queen there. You don't have to take with the pawn, you can also take with the rook. But then bishop c... I'm not sure about bishop c4 because of b4. So let's put this away. So b3. Bishop b4, bishop there, and any rook to this square here, probably. I'm not sure if you want to exchange this. You can also double. Yeah, but black's position is very solid. Probably not h5, probably g6. So that this knight has some more breathing room. Now you could exchange everything, but is this helpful? That's the question. Oh yeah, it is, because you lose this pawn. But you lose this pawn anyway, so you cannot go g6. This bishop is eyeing that square. Let me think about that for a sec. Okay, d5. Probably knight here immediately. You keep an eye on that square. So probably queen c2. Okay, if you take, then rook takes, attacking the queen. But this isn't that clear. Yeah, but after b4 it gets clear because you don't have knight e5. So rook takes. Say queen here, b4 and queen there. Queen takes, knight takes, but then rook here. Yeah, it doesn't munch the knight because the knight can go there or it can go to b3. So this could work out. Queen is undefended, that's the reason why this works. It's not so easy to convert this though. Okay, knight c5. No, not queen here, queen c2. Yeah, queen c2. Why not queen here? Because knight there. Okay, queen c2. Takes. Yeah, the problem is now the knight is hanging and so you could go there, but then c4 wins the knight anyway. So this is not what you can do. So queen c3. Queen c3 still takes, rook takes. Queen b4 doesn't work now. Queen here. If not b4, then knight here attacks the queen and the f2 pawn. So let's work this out. Attacking here. So let's try and go there. Now the queen is hanging and the rook. So this is probably not advisable. So here you'd have to go back with the queen. Let's say to c2, attacking the knight. It's not so terrible though. Yeah, well, it's terrible. Probably something like this, but then rook b8 and knight here, and you can't get out of the knight. You have a couple of more trickeries, like this one. Takes, rook here, knight there, and rook there. Then you can get something like this. Yeah, this is busted, but not sure. Knight here, rook there, rook here, rook takes, bishop takes, queen takes, rook there, check. You have to block with the knight. Attacking the knight one more time, defending. And queen here, attacking the knight yet another time, and also the rook. So if the rook moves, then you capture the knight, and capture here, so it somehow does work. So you have trickeries with the knight on c3. But okay, we have different game continuation. We are at this board position currently, and here we had rook e1 and knight c7. Now c4 and queen d7, c4 and queen d7. Okay, the queen on d3 and on d7 is unprotected, so there are tactical issues. Probably maybe with the knight coming into c5. But okay, after After, let's say, b4, this plan is not available anymore. b3. Trying to go with there with the bishop, so bishop here, bishop there, and now rook here, for example. Rook here, rook takes, and d5 doesn't work. Well, it does somehow, because the e1 square is covered by the knight. But first you can just capture the pawn here, right? And you're up a whole pawn, so this doesn't work. This d5. c5 you don't want to do. Yeah, black's position seems pretty harmonious here. Castles, and rook e1, followed up with knight c7 and c4. This is now the current board position. Queen d7 and bishop f4. This is what Stockfish gives. Queen f, bishop f4, and now bishop e7 to d6. Just exchanging even more pieces. Bishop takes d6, queen takes d6. And rook ec1. Rook ec1. Yeah, it seems pretty solid for both sides. Let's see both evaluations right around here. Stockfish gives it as equal, so does Fritz. Fritz gives it as a little bit better for white. I would also enjoy white more in that position, but not by a lot. So let's see, c4 we had, queen d7, and now bishop f4, or g3. G3 is what Fritz is giving there, instead of the bishop exchange. g3, what does g3 do? Okay, the knight could have gone to h4 before, but okay, g3. g3 or bishop f4. Bishop f4 is probably better. I don't see the reason why g3 should be played in that position. Bishop f4 is also what Fritz and Stockfish are calculating now as best. So let's see. Fritz is down on 7 minutes. Stockfish has 9 minutes and 20 seconds. But they will get some additional time in a couple of moves. Yeah, we have bishop f4 on the board. The queen on d3 is still undefended, so if you, for example, go rook here and c5, you lose a pawn because knight here, bishop there, and for example bishop takes pawn because the queen is undefended. So this doesn't work. So you don't have to play bishop d6, but bishop d6 is probably the best move. He takes in now c5. Queen here. Follow up with knight to d6, pressurizing the d2 pawn. So let's continue there. Create some breathing room for both sides, a4 and rook d1. Still very convenient play there. Knight takes, queen takes, rook takes, so this doesn't work at least. So, but you could go knight f4. So that's probably why g3 was calculated. But let's see. So after rook there, probably g3 to stop any knight f4. But I quite enjoyed this maneuver before here in the opening. I never thought about this maneuver here with knight a6 to c7, because it controls those squares, and what is the knight doing from d7? That's not so great. It blocks in its own bishop and has only this b3 square, but if b3, then those squares are covered. Can jump to d4, but then c5, c4. So I quite enjoyed that maneuver with bishop f4, bishop takes, queen takes, bishop e7, castles, and rook e1 and c4. Follow up with queen d7, bishop f4 and bishop to the d6. Let's see, bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, and g3 is the line Fritz gives. Queen g3. So if the knight ever lands on d5 or e6, it cannot jump to f4 to attack the queen. Also f4 would be a very nice square for the knight. But let's see, this is Fritz's plan. I would Stockfish go a5 here, stop any b4. Well, now b4 is stopped. I would do that. g3 is also a multi-purpose move because it creates some breathing room for the king. Now we'll smoke a cigarette while commentating on that game. See you soon. g3 and rook fe8. It's a very dull game if this is the line. Because, okay, everything would be exchanged off and we would land into an equal endgame. This is not what I'd expect from a Stockfish game. But there are no active plans currently. Queen c3 we have going out of this pin. Queen c3. Rook fd8. Rook ac1. This is what Stockfish gives. Let's investigate a little bit this position. Oh, without a5 included, and g3 of course. So queen here, queen, rook there, and rook there. Okay, c5, there is d5. Knight e6. Is there still d5? In the mix, d5 takes, queen takes. Probably rook there. But then the knight can come to f4. And after g3, you have this fork. So this is threatened. So let's go queen there, king there. I would go with the other rook actually. If this is my plan, I would take this rook to go there. This rook going there. Knight going there, knight going there, knight going there, king going there. And now rook going there. So now you have to defend. Now c5, c4, and queen there. So now the knight's route is that one. You could go rook there actually to defend. And b4 maybe. Takes. And rook takes there, followed up with rook takes. Knight takes, attacking the queen. Where's the queen going? Let's see, queen goes there. Yeah, still is not over. But there are some chances now. There are some chances now of the knight coming to f4. Rook fd8 is played. Rook f to d8. So let's see what Fritz is coming up with. 1 minute 50 seconds left on the clock. Move 15. And let's see what both engines think of this position. think it's quite equal. G3. This is a monstrous move now. Don't think it's a good move, but it's, well, even still. Stockfish gives b5 now as the move. Okay, b5, c4, c5 weakens those squares. So let's say queen here, going after the knight, preparing knight d6, going after that pawn. So let's preempt this. Knight e6, so now this pawn is adequately defended, and now a5 could come, so b4. I'm not sure. I don't think that black is better here, but I don't see white, black being in trouble. I think this is around even still, this position. b5, b3. b5, don't commit this pawn. b3, king g2 is what Fritz gives. King g2. Wow. King g2. Let's see if you really see king g2 on the board. I have b5 and king g2 probably. So now Stockfish thinks black is better. So king g2 may be one of the slight mistake. B takes c4. Let's see how it continues. B takes c4, queen takes c4, and knight e6. So there are two isolated pawns there. So probably rook here. Knight takes, queen takes, and queen takes here, and it should still be even. I don't see anything there for black. Maybe even white is a little bit better because of this pawn majority on the queen side, creating a passed pawn. But I don't see why it should be better for all means. Probably rook there. Knight d6, rook ac1, rook ac8, and b4, and b4. But why can't you just take this pawn? right? Okay, going after the a7 pawn. Oh, and this a3 pawn prevents the rook from coming in back. So let's try this. So it's not so easy to keep on clinging on to that pawn. Yeah, the problem also is there is a back rank mate after all. So this... I'm not sure if you can take the pawn though, because of rook c1. Yeah, I think you'd have to give back one of them. Yeah. Not sure if you can take this pawn though. I wouldn't take it after seeing this line, and this was pretty forced. Knight e6, rook ac1. Stockfish probably won't touch the pawn. Rook ac1, rook ac8, b4 and queen d7. b4 and queen d7. This is the line. Stockfish is still... Yeah, king g2 is not a mistake. Okay, white's position is so solid that there are probably no mistakes possible here. The floor system is not trying to go for a win, but trying to hold on to the position. And I wouldn't do that, actually. I wouldn't go queen d7. I would at some point try and go h6, so that, I'm not sure, let's say h4, so that now you could probably go into this drawish endgame. Do that. I would go there immediately. After this, going there, going there, going there, going there, takes, and a4, something like this, and it should be a draw, but this is only one line because there is no back rank mate at the end, like in this variation. So this is probably still playable. If you go rook c8, b4 and h6, this is still playable. No, not here. You would go rook d6 and gobble up the pawn, because now this is not a mate, because the king has one escape square. So a4, and now you just go behind the pawn. After this check, going behind the pawn, and there is no way of promoting this pawn. If you can get rid of the rooks and the king is somewhere over here, then this king could gobble up all of these pawns, but the rooks are still on the board, so, and the kings are too far away, so I think it should be a draw. And yeah, so I would go for h6 here in that position, but let's see. Rook c8, b4 or g6. G6 is also a move. b4, g6, rook e3, b4 and queen b8. b4 and queen b8. This is what Stockfish gives. So we have b4 on the board. So both engines are fighting with an isolated pawn. The IQP for white and the isolated c pawn for black. And also there is isolated a pawn, but this is not so important. At least I don't think so. Fritz is playing a good game there versus this very version of Stockfish. Let's see if we can see queen b8 or queen d7. I don't really see the difference in those moves. And I would prefer Fritz's move with g6, but this is also possible. King f8 is also probably a move just preventing the rook from coming to e7. Just looked at that. Probably king f8 is not so stupid at all. Let's see what we get here. Queen d7, rook c3 is what Stockfish gives. Afterwards queen b7 and b4. And b4. Why can't you take this pawn? Oh, queen c7. Yeah, well, it doesn't really change the picture. Queen c7 is played and rook e1 to e4. Rook e1 to e4. Shielding this diagonal. Let's see what we get here. Rook e4 and g6. These are the moves. Also now rook h4 is possible. But we have queen c3. Queen c2 and queen c3. Queen b7 and queen d3. This little, if the queen lands now on d3, it doesn't make so much sense. Because the queen could have gone to d3 one move earlier. Queen c7 to the b7 is now what Stockfish played. Expects queen e3, but we will get rook e2 probably. Rook e2. Is there anything with c4? Takes and knight g4. Is there something? If you go there, then this is probably pretty annoying, because if you take with the queen, then the knight is hanging, and if you take with the pawn, then the rook is hanging. So probably rook there. Is this still working? You cannot take like that, so you have to take with the pawn. Rook takes, queen takes, and queen here check. The problem of that is you would suffer due to a back rank mate. So this combination is not on. Okay, we have moves. We have this, and we have rook to the d8. And now let's see, rook d5. Rook d5 is played by Stockfish, blockading the pawn. Probably doubling here against the d-pawn. At some point you have to create some loot for the king, so h5 could be an idea. What is after this? Rook d5, rook b1. Let's say you go with a4. Let's say h5, a5, c4, pawn takes c4, rook takes c4, rook takes c4. No, not rook takes, but rook takes rook. Rook takes rook, and knight g4. Follow up with that check. Rook is coming in here. There is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. So c5, I'm not sure about. So let's see, rook d5 we had on the board. And now rook d1 to d3. Adding more protection to the knight, but this rook is now undefended. Let's see both evaluations right around here. Stockfish gives it as better for black, Fritz gives it as even. So for a human it should probably be holdable for white. In computer terms, this is probably very hard, very difficult to hold against Stockfish. Stockfish says it's one more inaccuracy and the game is over. So Fritz should play a perfect game now. And I don't think rook d3 is the perfect option. But let's see. Rook d5. h4, a5. h4. h4 by Fritz. This is a move what Stockfish can. It's one of the better moves what Fritz could have done here. a5. a5 is what Stockfish gives. Rook b1 and queen a8. So this is what Stockfish gives. And queen a8. Rook da1. Rook da1 is what Fritz gives. Rook going back to a1. Rook b1 is now what Fritz gives. Rook b1, queen a8. And let's see what we get from there. Queen a8, rook c1, rook ec1. Yeah, there is a lot of control over this c5 spot, so c5 is hard to get in. But let's try knight takes. Knight takes, rook takes, queen takes, and c5 check. Isn't this winning the queen? Isn't this winning the queen? The problem is it is. So knight takes, rook takes. You cannot take the rook. So why rook c1? Rook takes, knight takes, rook takes. Why can't you take this pawn? That's the question. So there is a tactic in the position. But why after h4? Why wasn't this played immediately? Oh, because of the rook. a4, rook b1, rook here, rook c1. Knight takes. Let's say pawn takes. We'll do that. We'll capture this one. And then capture over there. And if rook takes, rook takes, rook takes here. So it's still a fight. It's still a fight. So after rook takes, so you'd have to go rook takes here. But now you get rook takes, rook here check, and queen takes there. Okay, now you're down a rook. So rook takes, you have to take this immediately. Now that. And after this, that, it's a complete draw, probably. So that's why you don't take the pawn. So this is the current board position, rook b1, rook a3, and rook c1. Or let's see what we get there. Rook bc3, h6 and queen b3, h6 and queen b3. Okay, you leave this pawn for the taking. Yeah, this knight on e6 is a good piece here. This is how Stockfish deals with that position. h6. Queen c4 back. This is what a takes b4, probably a takes b4. And I would at some point go for that, because it just looks so nice. Oh, now the rook is defending, so it's not on. It's not on to take on e6. So that's why this rook stayed there. queen c4 because it has to take an eye over the e4 square. There are tactical issues white has to solve here, but if white is able to solve those tactical problems, white should be able to hold that position, because I don't see that the queen on a8 is that well placed. But okay, on this diagonal here, a8, h1, a8 diagonal, it's creating some damage, and now I think queen c4 Stockfish gives this as probably not good. Played the move rook d6 back, and now we had that one. Rook c8 to d8, ganging up on this pawn here. It's d4 pawn, the queen and the rook still keeping an eye on every pawn's there. Yeah, the difference between of these positions is black is attacking stuff and white is defending. Now a takes, queen takes a5 and rook e3. Rook e3 because this pawn is also now on the thread, and if you take there, then at the end this pawn would hang, and after this we would again have a drawn endgame, so it's not that bad, it's not that clear. So now the queen is not on this diagonal anymore, and we had rook here defending this pawn, and now g5. Wow, Stockfish is going in for the kill now. g5 ripping open the king side. g5, h takes g. I didn't saw that one coming, but probably rook king g7 and rook h8 will come. And let's see both evaluations. Yeah, Stockfish is now on winning, and also Fritz 11 sees the danger. But what is the continuation here? Rook to here. Rook takes, pawn takes, rook takes, queen takes, and king there. The rook on d8 is defended by the queen. Okay, the king goes up the board, so this doesn't come with the check. And also rook h8 is now on the board, on the cards. Also defending f6, so this is a multi-purpose move. And white can only sit and wait. White can't do that much. Has to keep an eye on this pawn and on that pawn. On the pawn on d4 and on the pawn on a3. And yeah, now white is the one with the two IQP, with the two isolated pawns. Black only has one isolated pawn. Okay, the structure is probably not that important in that game because black's pawn structure is also pretty bad because of the doubled f pawn. But okay, there is a open h file which both engines trying to get into. But let's try knight here. Check. Takes, attacking the rook. So the rook moves to here, probably. I'm not sure. Knight f4. Oh, we had a couple of moves. We had rook here, rook there, and g5, knight h4, trying to get this fork in. Okay, this is also protecting the pawn on d4, because if the rook takes, yeah, but the knight could take. Knight takes d4. What, rook takes d4 we had? We had knight here, rook takes there. Why not simply knight here check? I don't really get that. Because if the rook goes back, then rook takes, takes. I'm not sure why. Oh, knight here is not possible because the queen can just take the knight. Okay, so rook takes. What were the moves? Rook takes, knight here, queen there, queen there, check, king there, and now knight back to e6. Perfectly centralized position black has here. White desperately wants to get the queens off, but I think it's too late for something like that. Black just says no. And I think the game will not last long here, because it's just a busted position. But now there is this, no, it's not, because the knight is pinned, so there is still no knight f5. But knight f4 could be bad. Knight f4 could be very bad news. Knight f4, pawn takes f4, rook takes h4. But we have the different move here. We have different moves. King there, because knight f4 was probably a threat. Knight here, queen a2. Okay, now knight f4 is a threat. So probably rook there. I'm not sure. I'm definitely not sure. This is... Oh, now the queen is still defending f4, and now the rook also defends f4. So the knight is completely out of the game. Everything is protected. Rook here, knight there. Attacking the rook. Rook c, f1. I will probably go in. Oh, now knight f4. Now knight f4. Wow. Yeah, okay, the knight here is hanging. So the queen goes back. Knight there, check. King g2. I will probably snatch in the knight now. Oh, okay, the king goes here. I will probably snatch the knight now. Okay, rook there is also a nice move. It just checkmates the f pawn. Queen here. Knight here, check. Okay, king there. Knight here, check. King there. Rook takes, pawn takes, and queen here, check. This should be it, right? This should be the continuation. Knight f2 again. Because here there is no way, actually. You have to give up this one. And now you're threatened with a discovered mate, so... Okay, we don't have this continuation. We have knight g5. Rook there. Rook there, double attacking the pawns. King here defending. Finally you snatched that piece. Oh, because the rook can come to h3 now. Rook h3 check. This is devastating. If the king goes there, yeah, then knight here check. Or even better, rook a7 check, complete distraction. King g2, queen b7. Okay, there is no rook coming in there. It's over. Fritz resigned the game, probably because there is a mate somewhere, somehow. So let's try and investigate this game a little bit. Yeah, the end was quite interesting. The end of this game was quite interesting. So, let's see. Okay, here the opening book given to them was this position, and here there are knight f3, c3 and bishop c4. Knight f3 third most played move, and now knight a6 only played 5 times before. The main move here is bishop d6, but knight a6, okay. And now we have the move a3, which was never played before, and from here on we have completely new game, at least according to my database, and it should be around even this position. Bishop f4, bishop d3, bishop e7, castles, bishop, what the hell? Oh, bishop here. If you take my bishop, then this is what I haven't covered, then queen a5 check is picking up the bishop on f4. So this is the little trick here. So castles, bishop takes, and after castles this threat is not on, so you cannot castle, you have to exchange first. Castles, rook e1, knight c7, and here after bishop f4, bishop d6, bishop takes, pawn takes. The interesting part here is queen coming to b7 on this diagonal. It made so many threats. h4 a5, and now g5. This is an amazingly strong move, I think. Yeah, because if you take the rook, then the knight is hanging with a check, so that's not possible. So knight a4, and now rook takes, attacking the queen. Rook takes, material still equal, attacking the queen, check. Knight coming back to f4, queen here, no queen exchange. Yeah, and here you lose this crucial pawn. And here a little tickling, and knight g5. Rook there, rook there, rook there, rook takes. Is this the only winning move? No, but it is by far the best move. Knight f3 is also good. Rook takes, pawn takes, rook h3 check, rook there, queen a7, rook there, queen here, and here it was over. Because after, if you go back with the where to go with the queen. King f2 is probably bad. King f2, king g1 is, I think, doesn't last so long because of g3 cutting off the escape squares, and here there is this funny secure at the end and mate. So this is one line to go about it. But the thing is, here you should go king f2, and after rook there, yeah, this is the best black can get, and yeah, the thing is, you just mate him like that. Okay, and yeah, this was after queen b7 the game ended. Here the resignation was clear because it was just over. So, but where was the real mistake here? What to learn from this game? Black played logically, so did white, so there is no real threat here. Yeah, this g5 was just a monstrous move. You have to be aware of such moves, that you cannot make them all the time. g5 and queen f5 are the moves here, but g5 is probably best. Yeah. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao.